Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Reel Critic from Chicago, and this is the Reel Critic Roundtable. This is where African-American film critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun, and we're going to do that today. Now, sometimes I start off the show with a commentary, but I don't even have a commentary this week. I do want to say that we got somebody new. We got a couple of people new this week. But before I do that, let me welcome my friend Kathia Woods to the show. Kathia, welcome again.
Nice to be here. Happy Friday. To give.
So I always ask you what you're working on, where people can find you. Come on, give me some juice.
I'm still South by Southwest threw me a lifeline. I'm still unraveling that. You know what I mean? So that, and just new movies, and excited for them coming out, which comes out next Wednesday. You know what I mean? I feel like I saw it and I was like, Lord Jesus, I'm definitely watching that in the afternoon with the lights on, not before bed.
Well, I know everybody here hasn't seen it, but we're going to talk about it just a little bit before we get into one of the reasons we're here. Now I want to introduce the president of the AAFCA, African American Film Critics Association, Gil Robertson. Gil, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much, Reggie and Kathia.
Hey, so of course, I know what you're working on, but tell the people what you're working on, how they might be able to connect with you. Because you got a lot of things going on, especially when we talk about the AAFCA Awards. But go ahead.
Well, we just had the AAFCA Awards, as you know, our 12th annual on Wednesday to a private audience, and we're just about to queue up the public-facing viewing on April 17th. That'll be on the AAFCA channel on Comcast. So we're real excited about that. And Comcast has a promotional slate that will begin to get pushed out on Monday. So if you're a subscriber to Comcast, you'll be seeing adverts on their platform. So we're very pleased because it's going to amplify our audience. And we had a great show this year with, Mariah Carey and Viola Davis and Andra Day and Lee Daniels and Naomi Campbell and Ava DuVernay and Daniel Kaluuya, and the list just sort of goes on and on and on. And then we also are happy to announce this launch of the third season of the AAFCA podcast, which is produced by AAFCA member Ed Adams. And we just began a partnership with Street Media, which is the parent company for The Village Voice and the LA Weekly. So that's also going to greatly amplify the audience of the podcast. So we're really, really, really excited.
That's some good stuff. So Kathia, have I been on the podcast? Oh no, that's right.
You got to get with Ed on that.
No, he didn't call. Gil didn't call. See, this is the problem.
You got to get with Ed. Ed's been.
My job is to give Gil some grief. But to stay on point, we got Clayton. Man, we got you in the house, man. Firstly, we're really happy to have you. Please tell people a little bit about you and what you're working on.
Sure. My name's Clayton Davis. I'm the Film Awards editor at Variety. Thanks for having me here today and having me follow up Gil going through all his list of accomplishments in life. So that feels good. It's a good intro for me. But yeah, I'm right now based on the East Coast out of New York, but I will be relocating to California because it's where Variety is. So I'm going to come cover the Oscar race and all awards races, Emmys, and anything else that it entails coming from the West Coast. I'm also member of AAFCA, proud member of AAFCA for many, many years. Also president of the Latino Entertainment Journalists Association. Kathia is a member as well. So amplifying Latinx voices as much as we can. Hopefully a good year coming ahead for us. And just getting through the longest season in history.
So how can people connect with the brother? You got so much stuff. You got so much stuff going on. How can people hey, I want to know what Clayton doing?
Yeah, I'm on all social media channels as at Awards Circuit, AWARDS Circuit, and anywhere you can. I have a podcast, a Variety Awards Circuit podcast that I host at Variety. Do awards predictions every Thursday. I have a weekly column there.
That's good. That's good enough, man. See, you say
good.
Gil, you say Gil had so much. You had a lot, man. But I really appreciate that. So typically, what we do is we discuss some movies, but we call this particular special show today because we are going to talk about awards and we're going to talk about the AAFCA Awards. But before we get into that, there's a couple of issues that I want to touch base with. We'll do our quick hits, but there are two things that I want to touch base with that were not on the docket. And Kathia was talking a little bit about the death of DMX. And Kathia, thoughts?
Heartbroken. You know, it's like I come from music. I come from hip hop. I've had the pleasure of interviewing DMX. He is one of the nicest, sweetest people that you will ever meet. It is not at all what people think. Unbelievably honest in a time when artists are not full of crap. And he made music, and a lot of people say this, but it's so true, for the forgotten man. This guy had a rough life. When I say to you rough, I mean like horrible. But the love that he had for people, and he is one of the few hip hop artists that I have seen at festivals, not at like a concert. I'm talking festivals where a whole sea of people, all the way back to where you're like this, repeating his lyrics. And he was an energetic live performer. You know, in hip hop, sometimes it can be like a little boring, people just walking back and forth. He wasn't one of those people. He's very, very engaging. And more importantly, I hope that we learn to be, we've had so many artists fight addiction, right? And we always say, we're going to learn from this. We're going to learn to be better. We're going to learn to understand the disease better. And it is a disease. Addiction is a disease. And let this not be another death where we do a lot of lip service, but we don't do a lot of, you know, community engagement on how we can help our brothers and sisters in the struggle. Because a lot of people knew he was fighting the struggle, but they didn't care because he was selling records. So as long as he was selling records, who cares? As long as he showed up for such and such, who cares? So I do think that we need to learn from this and pause and think, were we the enablers, or were we really trying to uplift and help him get to the other side?
I think that's a really good point. Gil, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I mean, I just heard a moment ago that he had passed, and certainly it's a big loss for the community. You know, rap, hip hop, and certainly, you know, entertainment circles across the board. I never interviewed him, so I never had any kind of personal connection. But yeah, you know, I mean, we lost Prince Philip today. I mean, so they say they go in threes. So I wonder who's going to be next.
Wow. Clayton.
You know, DMX music was part of my childhood. You know, it's like a staple of my upbringing. You know,
can you recite the lyrics to
it? Listen, I'm going to rap on your podcast here and embarrass myself, but there's been many some DMX songs I know verbatim for that reason. But I will say one thing that is highlighted once again, it's the ugly part of this industry, is the inequality that Black artists, Black celebrities face. Because while DMX was on his deathbed, New York Post thought it would be a good idea to publish an article about DMX and the houses he lost during his rap career, which doesn't happen to any other type of musical artist while they're lying on their deathbed as well. But, you know, when a Black man is in dire, you know, moments like that, they felt appropriate to pounce. So I think that's just another highlight of the struggles that Black people face every day, inequalities, not just, you know, financially and in an opportunity, but just in our depiction and our image in media once again. So New York Post, do better.
I'm really glad.
Interesting, Reggie, is the way in which that kind of mirrors. When Clayton said that, I thought about Billie Holiday lying in her deathbed and being humiliated, you know, by the system. So, you know, like that film illustrates how little has changed. You know, I mean, that movie started with a lynching bill trying to get its way through Congress that we're still trying to move through. And here you see DMX being equally humiliated when he's on his deathbed. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, no,
it's a sad day when TMZ shows more restraint and integrity than the New York Post, which is allegedly, I'm saying allegedly to be polite, a newspaper, a news organization. And the person who wrote it made sure that all their social media was like, they were not to be found because they knew they were going to get heat.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons that I started this show, is that we get to talk about stuff like this, is that we get to get those kind of perspectives. So firstly, I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about it. And we also want to always give due the people who have passed away, and DMX being part of the film community, obviously a big part of the music community. Just wanted to take a moment and give tribute to him. The next thing I want to talk about just a bit, I know everybody hasn't seen it, but there is a lot of talk on Twitter about this new series coming out, Them. And Kathia was talking about she can't wait to see it. Gil, you orchestrated the opportunity for us to talk to some of the stars on it. So I'm going to give you the first word on this one, Gil. What do you think about this series, and what are your hopes for viewership?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, it debuts today on Amazon Prime, and all indicators are that it's going to attract, strong numbers over the weekend. And it's an interesting take on integration. Most people look at racial integration and some of the challenges that came from those experiences as primarily being a problem that occurred in the South, whereas this series takes place in my hometown in Southern California, in a neighborhood called Compton, which, contrary to what it's now known for, back before I was even born, was an all-white suburb of Los Angeles. I mean, Kevin Costner is from Compton. And so, TV has been doing interesting things lately, mixing, powerful messages with a little history, with a little entertainment. I think that sort of started with the first thing that I can think of that really illustrated that was Lovecraft Country, that added in elements from the Tulsa riots and other historical dates that people need to know about. And I think it's great that Them will probably spark curiosity around a lot of challenges that the Black community faced living in LA. I mean, when I was born, you couldn't live past Main Street. You couldn't live east. It was very uncommon to find a Black family living in Southern California that lived west of Main Street. And I'm in my mid-50s, so it's been a while, but it hasn't been that long ago.
Not that long ago. I see you shaking your head there, Clayton. You want to jump in there?
Yeah, I haven't. I'm very excited to watch the show. I'm gonna try to binge it through the weekend. The explosion of Black artists this past few years, but especially in this past year, and I would say more specifically Black women, really having their moment. I would say they've always been well worth revering, but they're getting their moment to be highlighted and getting these opportunities to bring different stories to the table. I'm just excited for what the year.
I can see it. See, it's really interesting because just as you trying to talk about it, you seem like you want to leave here and go watch it instead of talk about it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm really listen. The problem with television is always there's too much of it. Like it's hard to just dedicate all your time to it. But there's some things that remain at the top of the list, and this is definitely one of them.
Kathia, go ahead, because you are hot to trot on this one.
I'm very excited that Black creators are just creating, and within that creative process, find an opportunity to educate. Then that's great. But I'm a firm believer, if we're really going to have equality and all this other jazz that we like to talk about, give them the freedom to tell their truths. And if it's via horror, then be it that way. And it's not even this series, I think, has gotten the details correct. Like the family looks the same, top to bottom, which is super important, because sometimes we're like, what is happening here in the casting call? The actors, like, we are going through the anxiety with them, you know what I mean? And it is what Gil said is, I grew up, when I moved to the States, I lived in the Trenton, Lawrenceville. We lived in Trenton for a little bit, and then we lived in Lawrenceville. And what a lot of people, just like Gil said, don't know is that Trenton High used to be predominantly white. Now it's predominantly Black. There weren't a lot of people living in Lawrenceville, like not Black people, not middle class Black people, and that was like my stepdad's time, you know what I mean? And he's 60s, 70s, so all of these things that people think only happen in one part of the country, I hope it spurs them to educate themselves some more, to learn some more, to understand that these things didn't always happen, 40, 80 years ago. A lot of this was not long ago.
I think that Gil makes a good point on that, say, hey, I couldn't go past this. And it's the same thing here in Chicago. I think one of the things, Gil, that I really appreciated was our roundtable. So I want to invite people to check out the AAFCA Roundtable channel on YouTube, because we actually got to talk to a number of the people involved with this. And I think it'll shed some light on it when you watch it, before you watch it, or after you watch it. So I would like to invite you guys to do that. I love the fact that they're using horror to tell how horrific some of the things that happened to African Americans in history have happened. We're gonna move on. And we're gonna move on to some quick hits. Now, because Clayton is here, I'm not gonna make this one as quick of a hit as possible. But the first thing I want to talk about is Latinos' absence in Hollywood has felt deliberate. I think Clayton wrote an article. So because I have two Latinos in the house, hey Clayton, kick this off, man. Talk about your thinking on this one, and then let's let everybody get in and talk about this a little bit.
Absolutely. It was a great celebration this year with the Oscar nominations. 9 out of the 20 acting slots were people of color, and we can celebrate all of that, and we will continue to celebrate all of that. But we always have to point out the absence of Latinx voices, because once West Side Story and In the Heights moved out of 2020, that was it. There were no more Latinx films to prop up and be excited for. While we have moved into this time of, representation and diversity, and this is coming from someone who's half Black, half Puerto Rican, Kathia obviously will speak to her experience. The conversation surrounding Latinos always gets missed in that discussion, because we're not white, so the white people don't care, and then they don't see us as Black, so then we don't get included with the Black discussion. And we are such a large gamut, is a large diaspora of just all different colors and from all over the world. We're global, and people still have yet to realize that. I mean, I started at Variety in September. One of the first pieces I wrote was on the upcoming film, The 355, with Lupita Nyong'o, Jessica Chastain, and Penelope Cruz. And I wrote Penelope Cruz is playing a Colombian. And I was like, guys, this is some lazy casting. This is what we're doing once again. And the first thing out of people's mouths were like, but she's Spanish. I'm like, yes, Spanish from Spain. Like, I'm starting at such a basic level of geography and teaching people what a Latino is versus a European from like a European country that is white. We could celebrate Penelope Cruz. I do celebrate her. I celebrate Javier Bardem. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about Latino representation. This upcoming year, it looks promising. It's better than last year. It's not where we need to be, but it's looking better with In the Heights, West Side Story, Encanto, Vivo, like all these. Lin-Manuel Miranda's making his directorial debut with Tick, Tick, Boom. It's gonna give us some choices moving forward. And I'm just excited to see if people will wise up to Latino representation, because if we're not drug dealers, then we're not in your movie.
Well, I would tell you that so I've done this is probably like our 31st show, and Kathia is on the show, has been on all of them, and she's always talking about you darn Latinos, man. So I am so happy that you're here to just give her just give her air to just talk. Go ahead, Kathia.
Yeah, she needs backup. We all need to have each other's backs. That's the great thing about it. Go ahead, Kathia.
The conversation is like threefold, right? We have a group of people out there who have no idea what Latinos is and do exactly what Clayton said, lumps anybody that speaks Spanish into the conversation. And it's like Clayton said, it's like we got to pull all the way back to geography, and we have to say, you know, the Spanish and the Portuguese are our colonizers. They're not, it's like us calling Americans English, you know what I mean? You would be like, what? You know what I mean? It's not a compliment, and there's nothing against people from Spain or Portugal, but they're Europeans. Their countries are part of the European Union. They're not part of the Latin American bloc. The other thing is, just like the United States and Latin America, you have indigenous people. You have a large population of Asian people, which a lot of people, I mean, if you think people have a hard time understanding that you can be Black and Latinx, try explaining to them that you can be Asian and Latinx. They're really going to look at you like you're speaking like a foreign language, right? And then there's this thing, you know, and I'm sure Clayton gets it too, when people are like, but you're Black. My race is Black. I'm never going to deny my Blackness. Even if I try to, I mean, it's here front and center. I can't take a magic wand and I'm going to turn into a white lady, but my culture is not North American. It is South American. You know, my primary language that I spoke at home was Portuguese. It was not English, you know. So it's just that type of an idea. I do think the great thing about streaming, about this year, is we're getting more movies, we're getting more shows from those regions, breaking these things down, where people can see, oh, wait a minute, that's what they were talking about. Oh, this is what they mean. There was a movie on Afro-Mexicans, which again, is super important. You know, they may not be the biggest population, but they exist. So I think that's part of it, you know. And I thought in that article, which you wrote beautifully, I thought it was funny because Penelope was like, I can't play a Brazilian, but you feel comfortable playing a Colombian. I'm like, It's the same thing, you know. And then there's the other conversation. We as Latinx people can't keep pointing our finger at Hollywood and asking for diversity and inclusion. But when you look at our outlets, our media and everything, it's completely whitewashed. Like, we really got to sit there for TV and be like, ¿Dónde están los negros? You know what I mean?
We have to fix our own house.
We have to fix our stuff too. I mean, a good example is, you know, Shaka King was Panamanian on his father's side and some on his mother's side. You had a lot of Latinos outlets that didn't know he was Latino. And he's on the cover of the Hollywood Reporter. He's on the cover of Variety. He's on the cover of every magazine. But we're talking about celebrating our own. And I'm 100% for calling out the deficiencies. But when we do have people that look like us, that are part of the community, give them their flowers. Don't deny them their moment. Where is their magazine cover on Hola and people in Espanol and all of that stuff?
You sizzling, girl.
Crazy.
Yeah. Stop, Gil. You want to jump in here for a sec?
No, you know, I have long been a proponent for seeing more Latin, our images that are representative of the Latinx community. And so I'm hopeful that, given the fact that the population is the largest population of color in this country, that Hollywood will begin to open up and recognize that, you know, with stories and that tell those talk about those ideas and those experiences that are shared by people who are part of that community. And I hope they do it in a way that showcases the full scale of diversity. To Kathia's point, if you get on a plane going into Sao Paulo, the biggest group of people you're likely to see are Japanese people, not going there as tourists, but going there because they're going home. It's where they're from. And, you know, obviously with, you know, the African American or the Black or African DNA that's found in those communities, as well as European. I mean, everybody's part of that mix. So you would think that there would be a lot more openness to that idea, that's, celebrating that. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I was glad when Clayton started, our sister group of Latino and Latinx journalists who are in the A&E space. And so, whatever we can do as an organization that push that agenda, I mean, we're all about that. We have very close relationships with Naacp, the National Association of Latino Independent Producers, as well as LALEAP and others. We're all the way full on there.
And I have to give someone like Gil massive props here, because first of all, he's one of the trailblazers into, the space for underserved voices in this space. And what Kathia really is touching on, and this again, when I talk about we need to fix our own house, colorism is such a thing within our own cultures. We're fighting for diversity, but there's this problem internally that we have not, fixed and addressed yet. It was one of my great honors to be with Gil and AAFCA members, with TCM Black Experience on film. And my whole life, people don't see Black, and where Kathia, her whole life, people didn't see, Latina. We have this thing, we put these qualifiers on ourselves all the time. And it's one of the things that keeps us from progressing further forward that hopefully gets addressed at some point soon.
Firstly, I appreciate you all for discussing this, because it is really important. So thank you for taking the time. It's supposed to be quick hits, but I knew that this was an important, it's important. And if I didn't, Kathia wouldn't come back on the show. She'd be killing me on this issue. But this one is that the rest of the things are quick hits. So look, you guys got 30 seconds or less to say whatever you think about these things, and then we're going to get into the AAFCA. So here we go. Disney has announced the date for the Avengers Campus Park opening, which is June the 4th. My quick hit is I'm going. I ain't going on June the 4th, but I'm going. Avengers Campus Park, I'm in. Clayton.
I'll see you June 4th, 2026.
That's a date.
2026. That's right. I can't do it now because I can't imagine being near people like that. But yeah, I will see you 2026.
I'm in, man. I'm in. Gil, you meeting us?
I'm gonna be right there with you.
So, all right, good. Kathia, you coming? Because you be talking about, let's meet at TIFF, let's meet at South by Southwest.
I'm with Clayton. Right now, no. But y'all let us know how it's gonna work out. You know what I mean? I cannot with some of the other side things. But 2026, we should be A-okay and have it together.
I'll have a salt and pepper beard by then. It'll be all right.
That's good. So then the next quick hit is Elon Musk people are saying, hey, today we could build a Jurassic Park. Do you care and would you go? So I'm going to start this one off too. I'm not going. I don't even want to be in a place that got something that might look like Jurassic Park. And if they're playing with some DNA, I got a problem. Gil.
I agree with you. I very, very, very much hope that they're not doing it, but as all of us here know, they probably are.
Kathia?
Have you not seen the movie and know how this thing ends? That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
And why is it Jeff Goldblum? It always sounds like a good idea, and then there's a lot of whoos, ha's, and running and screaming. I'm good.
All right. Clayton?
I'll go if Samuel L. Jackson goes and he doesn't die.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right.
He died in the first movie. See, that's the only Black person in the whole Jurassic Park universe, feels like. And he was out really early, so
he was out really early, no doubt about it.
It's like we didn't watch Terminator 2 and know that Skynet is just like a second away from us. Like we have the blueprints, people. It's gonna happen.
All right. Well. But speaking of hoping that something dies, I'm sorry, you guys. My big fat Greek wedding 3. I'm not looking forward to that. Do you guys want to see a third one?
I think it's okay. Listen, I say if Fast and Furious can go as long as it has after Tokyo Drift especially, then let My Big Fat Greek Wedding have its own little franchise. Like we give so much passes to franchises that just go on forever for no reason whatsoever. Let the Greeks have it.
I'm just going to say, just for the record, I just want to say for the record, because I'm not writing in Variety, is for the record, I was tired of Fast and Furious a long time ago. They have stretched that thing so far that it's broken. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that for the record. But Kathia, you my Big Fat Greek Wedding 3.
I'm here for the Windex. I like him with the Windex. I sincerely hope no one else out there in real life was spraying themselves with Windex and doing that. Please don't do that. But I'm here for the Windex. I do like this family, so I'm cheesy like that. I'm in.
And it's important for the Greeks to see themselves on screen like that. That is like that's what we're talking about. Representation and culture. You can see yourself on screen.
It looked like you just stole Gil's time because he's just doing like this. But
Gil. No, totally. I mean, Hollywood is well known for, driving a good idea into the ground. So
that's what I'm saying. This
is just another example of it. But, the family's cool, like Kathia said. And I mean, as Clayton expressed, it's, representation matters. And I love Greek food, so bring it.
Oh, wow. See, you guys are killing me. I'm saying, so I want to be clear. What I'm saying is give me another Greek story. Don't give me another one.
That would be too original for Hollywood.
You have to hire another Nia Vardalos, and they don't seem to be looking for another one of those. So
good. Well, moving on to our next one. Netflix just got the deal. They spent a lot of money that they're gonna stream Sony's movies 18 months after they air theatrically. Thoughts? Gil?
I would defer to Clayton on that. I mean, Sony Pictures is a partner of AAFCA's, and I mean, if it's good for them, I'm thrilled with it. As is Netflix as a partner too, but
true.
I'm not informed enough to really make a decision.
So here's the deal: is that they've been losing some prime content because everybody's streaming their own stuff. So this is I think it's actually really good move for Netflix, and especially since Sony says, "Hey, I'm not trying to start my own streaming service." So I think it's probably good on both sides. Clayton?
That's exactly the point. Like, if Sony isn't going to create their own streaming service, and as it sounds like they're moving in that direction, then that would make the most sense to partner up with someone like Netflix. Listen, and it becomes a great move for Netflix because once, Disney Plus came in, all the Marvel content moved over there. This gives them some Marvel content because Spider-Man, Venom, like it keeps part of that universe with them. So people still need Netflix to get.
That's a really good point, Clayton. See, you all right, we can stop the show. Show done.
But what's interesting geographically is that literally Amazon and Apple are Netflix's neighbors. I mean, for real. You can walk across from Sony's campus and right into Apple and Amazon. So that's real interesting in Culver City.
Thoughts, Kathia, on this one?
It makes absolute sense. You know what I mean? And going to the movies, as much as everybody's saying go back to the movies, is still, can be pricey for a family of four. You know what I mean? Before you even got a snack, you're already $60-$80 out the pocket. So, and also we still have to remember there are areas of our country that are void of a multiplex, that people have to drive 2 or 3 hours to go to the movies. So what this does is bring the content to them, win-win for both parties, gets more subscribers for Netflix, or subscribers stay because of this content, especially what Clayton said. So it's good business. And again, it's not easy to start a streaming service, as we all know. I mean, this was supposed to be better than cable, and now it turns out that the person that comes up with the package for all of these under one umbrella is going to be the genius. But I definitely think it's a win-win for the industry.
Great.
And one more thing to understand, Reggie, about this is that Sony SPE, Sony Pictures Entertainment, has the distinction of being the only studio that produces content for the whole city, the whole town, has Sony Pictures, either in TV, film. They do business with everybody. So it's a smart play with Sony in that they are, they're doing an exclusive, vertical with Netflix, obviously, but from a production standpoint, Sony Picture Productions are everywhere throughout the city. So they're hedging their bets across all players.
Really good.
I'm looking forward to the Spider-Man TV show. It's going to be Miles Morales. I give
it.
it.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, there's two more that I want to get in real quick. One is on the NAACP Awards. We talk about everybody, just like you guys talked about the other day about how. You just talked about a moment ago, Clayton, about how from a Latino perspective, there's some in-house things that need to happen. There's two things I like about the NAACP Awards. Number one, D Nice as Entertainer of the Year. I think that was brilliant. I think he should have got it because he entertained me all throughout that time. And that's why I hurt my hip, because I'm in there trying to do a little something in the house, and I probably shouldn't have been doing it. But where they missed out is they really did miss out. Bad Boys? Seriously? Bad Boys? The best movie of the year? Thoughts on both of those, you guys? I'll start with you, Kathia.
I think it's important, the awards. To take a page out of Mr. Gil's book, and I do listen, Gil, it's important that we acknowledge and celebrate our own. Because if we don't have our own award show, and we'll talk about AAFCA in a minute, a lot of our entertainers get overlooked. Look what happened with Delroy Lindo this year. And also, let's give our people their flowers while they're hearing and sight and all their limbs are working. This thing of like, you lived long enough. Like, thank God Cicely Tyson was lucid enough to appreciate the moment for her honorary Oscar. But really, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be like wheeling you out there, like, and all you can do is just raise your hand. So I do think that, that's important. And contrary to popular opinion, Image Awards don't just nominate Black people. It's called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. That includes Latinos, that includes Asians, and the list goes on and on. I would like to have seen, it's voted on by the public, so I understand why Bad Boys won. The public is not watching, the general public is not watching Ma Rainey. The general public.
Sylvie's Love was in the category. Stop it. They had Sylvie's Love in the category.
But I do think that we need to infuse it a little bit more in that way, because again, this might be the only chance that some of our filmmakers get acknowledged, other than AAFCA and ABFF honors and Essence in Hollywood, those type of things. So we do need to tighten up a little bit. The one thing I do like about the Image Awards, it is everybody is excited to be there. Again, there are people that go to this, they don't get invited to the other stuff. And they've been in the business 20 years.
Now that is true. Gil, thoughts?
Well, we have a long time standing relationship with the Hollywood Bureau of the NAACP. Several of our members are on their nominating committee. I've been on the committee for 20 years. And if any of you are interested, certainly we can recommend that you join as well. And like to Kathia's point, the Image Awards is much bigger than an A&E and Arts and Entertainment award show. The Image Awards really recognizes people in our culture. So you have awards that are giving out in literature, in science, across the board.
Love that.
So it's all we've always felt a kinship with the organization, obviously, and with this particular product that they are responsible for. As you saw on the AAFCA Awards the other night, Derek Johnson, their current president, was featured, as was Ben Jealous, their former president, was featured. So we have a long history, and we support them, and Reggie Hutland is one of our major stakeholders, and so love them.
Excellent. Last thought to you, Clayton.
One thing about Bad Boys being awarded, and one thing that the Oscars have been chasing, and has been the criticism from the public, is that you don't reward the movies that we're watching. Bad Boys for Life was the highest grossing film of last year in the pandemic. Maybe the most nostalgic, warm feeling that people have for that movie, because it might have been the last one that they saw in a movie theater before everything shut down. That could explain a lot of that. And I'm all about, like, you know, like, get rid of genre bias. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, you know, the La La Lands, you know,
I hate you, man. I hate
stuff
you.
like that. You know, if it's a popcorn movie like Bad Boys for Life, then yeah, like, so be it. Let it be.
See, I love that. I love that.
One thing I want to definitely, like, highlight NAACP for, because I wrote about it. You know, for the Oscars, the most awarded films of all time are Ben-Hur, Titanic, and Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. NAACP, their most awarded films are Precious and Black Panther. Like, those are like two distinctions that, you know, speak to different audiences. Their most nominated film of all time, by the way, I researched this, is The Best Man.
Which, see, I'd be voting for. I'd vote for that.
But that's why different voices, different groups are important. And Kathia said it best. Like, you need those different voices to come up and give some distinction and notoriety to these people, because no one else is going to.
Hey, look, see, that's why I had you and Gil come on anyway. Because y'all said some stuff that I wasn't gonna say. No, I don't know. It was really good, you guys. I really appreciate it. So we're gonna move on to the AAFCAs. And before we even talk about who won, what I want to say, Gil, is that I watched the show, and see, I hate it when somebody comes out and says, "Oh, we did a good job. I mean, it's gonna look good." And you were telling me it was gonna look good, and I was like, "Yeah, right. Let me wait and see." Man, y'all did a good job, man. That was really, really nice. And I got goose pimples with some of the people speaking, and what a great tribute and what you guys were able to do in the pandemic. So first thing I'm going to say is just hats off. You know, great job.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You know, it's our second virtual show. We did TV honors, AAFCA TV honors last August, which was when things were really, really quiet. And so, you know, I definitely have to give credit to our crew and our members for making some wonderful picks. And, you know, I'm just around to...
Here we go. Never mind. Just stop it.
I'm just around to do what I'm told. Really,
we're not even gonna hear that.
Oh, but I gotta agree. This is the thing. I think we all have to get in the habit of. We talk about when things are bad. Oh, we all over that. We need to have that same energy when things are done well, especially by us. You know, because they don't expect us to have our ish together, to be tight from top to bottom. Because we know we don't get the budget, we don't get the funding like our counterparts. And having said that, the show was smooth.
Oh,
you didn't feel like you were in a virtual space. You know, we're all zoomed out, you know, but it felt welcoming. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here in my office with my glass of wine, and we were connecting. Everything was, and everybody was really heartfelt and felt appreciated. The segment for Cicely Tyson was beautifully done, you know what I mean, as we should honor her with everything. But again, it has a lot to do with you, Gil, because a lot of people show up and want to participate because of you. Like you're not having to get on the phone and be like, all right, let me offer you lunch, let me send you, you know, a limo with flowers and all of that. And that speaks to your relationships and your reputation in the industry. And again,
just accept it, Gil, and just keep it going.
The whole team, it was done really, really well. I thought you picked great hosts. You know, they all come from, you know, Sheena being the most tenured, JB Smooth being the comedy, and then Tony being, he's been around for a minute, but his stars are starting to rise. So I think that was really well done. And again, you can have a fun award show in a virtual space. Be safe. We don't this, and again, you know, Oscars hint. Stop trying to make people feel like they gotta give up an arm in order to be there. Like, let people have their moment and be safe. But this was really, really well done.
Hey, so we'll move on to the awards person. So any opening thoughts, and then we'll get into specific awards.
I don't know why people. I don't know why people are surprised that Gil's the most stylish person I know in real life. Like, he ain't gonna put anything that's ugly out there. Yeah, like he would have just canceled the show if it was gonna look bad, you know. So listen, Gil he's a machine. I want to be like him when I grow up.
All right, well, that's it. So let's get into some awards, and we're going to try to get through all of them. We got about another 10 or so minutes before I know you guys got somewhere to be. So the first one is Breakout Performance. We awarded that to Rada Blank, and I want to talk about that one first because I think what Rada did, and I've been saying this on my show, what she did with that film, the 40-year-old version, it was standout to me, and I totally appreciated it, and I'm glad that she was recognized in some form or fashion. I'm gonna go to you first, Clayton.
Rada Blank, I love Chloe Zhao, and I think I love all the flowers she's getting. Rada Blank had the same achievement she did this year. Like, 40-year-old version was one of my favorite films of the year, is my favorite script of the year. I'm just anything she gets, I'm gonna be in favor of. And let's give her another movie fast right after, because I know she's got more.
So thank you, Gil. I'm gonna jump to you because you also did us a solid and had a roundtable that people can also check out on the AAFCA channel with Rada, and it was phenomenal being able to talk to her about this. But your thoughts?
She is amazing. I was glad that the membership picked it.
Excellent. Kathia.
It was a perfect pick. She had an amazing year. And again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If it isn't for us, she doesn't get her flowers, and she's a person that wants it more from us than the other. Not that the other isn't nice, but she's one of those people that gets it because she's from the culture. But this was perfect.
Excellent. Moving on, best screenplay. Kemp Powers has obviously been around. He's getting a lot of, I think, praise for what happened with One Night in Miami. I thought that was a fantastic choice. I'll start with you first, Gil.
Well, he's one of our guests next week at something that you're co-handling this year for us with Variety, with Penske. The Oscar the Michaud Project. So Kemp is going to be one of the special guests for our virtual red carpet. So we're really, really excited about it. And also, he's a former journalist. So it's like family. So I was in love with that choice and glad that we were able, to acknowledge his successful transition into this new space for himself.
Kathia.
Words matter. And he wrote a beautiful screenplay. You know what I mean? You got to know these men in a different light, and it wasn't like buffoonish or stereotypical. You felt like you were eavesdropping on an intimate conversation. And I hope what this film does, this dialogue, spurs more projects like this. It's like Clayton says, let us be something else besides criminals and angry and all of that. They were free to exchange different points of views, because again, Black people are not monolithic, and to say, hey, I believe in what you believe, I just have a different approach. That was like the main thing, that the takeaway. But again, it's so beautifully written, and also it has humor in there. It's not just heavy, the part where the part that I love when Jim Brown tells Malcolm X he doesn't have a job. You know what I mean? That's us. We talk like that. You know what I mean?
But that is us.
How would you say that? You would never say that if there were non-Black people around. But that shows you the authenticity of that particular play.
Thoughts on that, Clayton?
It's great screenplay. Kemp Powers, also another great breakout year. Also co-wrote Soul, co-directed Soul, won a Golden Globe for Soul, first Black debut filmmaker to ever win a Golden Globe before. He's had a dynamite year, and I think he's going to have a lot of interesting, great stuff coming up.
Excellent. Moving on to we're talking about, Kathia said that the freedom. It's really interesting when we look at a movie like Best Foreign Film, which is A Night of Kings. They were in a confined space, but there was some freedom there from a cultural perspective. I mean, there was so much. This was a rich film, and I don't know if it'll get any other kind of recognition. I really was happy that we voted that one in. I'll start with you first, Gil.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Caesar Awards will do something with it in France. But Philippe seems like a talent to watch. I was excited that the members chose this movie because it really revealed, for me, it was like an introduction to things about West African life that I was always curious about but didn't know. And since we're all descended from West Africa, I was like, wow, to find out about some of their religious rituals and cultural, cues, it was the thing that really got me going.
Kathia, you just shaking your head because this is one you love.
It is, like I said, my Brazilian background, we in Macumba and Santeria and all of that. That spirit of that is still very, very much alive. And if you go to Africa, if you ever are lucky enough to go to the continent, there's still parts of that when you go to certain villages where that type of storytelling, that's how they pass on history from one generation to another. And it was beautiful to see. And again, this is what we're talking about. We're getting Black point of views and storytelling for people outside of North America.
Clayton.
For general audiences, it's just very important to say, like, one thing I want to see more, especially in our underrepresented communities, is to get over this hump of subtitles. Like, embrace international cinema. It's 1-inch words on the bottom of your screen. Yes, you can engage, and it is some of the best films are international cinema. Give it a shot. You're going to surprise the hell out of yourself.
Excellent comment. So I'm gonna do for these next ones is just raise your hand if you want to say something. Everybody probably can't say something for all of them because we do want to get them all in. Best documentary, all in. Anybody comment?
All right, well deserved.
Very well deserved.
Yeah. It was one of those. We had for best animation. Clayton, you already talked about it. So this was powerful.
It's a steamroller. So enjoy the Oscar too. It's a good ride.
I thought, Gil, I see you laughing on that one.
No, I mean, Clayton said everything. I mean, hopefully it will go the distance.
Best short film is Two Distant Strangers. And anybody who has anything to say on this one, because I don't think people know too much about this one. Anybody?
Again, people sleep on short films, co-directed by Trayvon Free, queer filmmaker, straight out of LA, like knows the experience. Give them a movie.
Kathia?
I agree. One thing I try to be better at is watching short films at festivals, right? We're so all scurrying to see such and such that we don't take a day to watch short films. And a lot of our long feature film that we like directors came from short films. So, and I think it's a harder skill set because you have to pack a lot into a limited amount of time and still engage us. So no, I'm glad that AAFCA acknowledges short films. And I'm with Clayton. I mean, it's less time, so why not do it? We always
it is, and we don't talk enough on this show about short films, and so hopefully we'll incorporate them a little bit more. When we look at best breakout director, we have Shaka King. Thoughts?
Same one that he had, right? So he can do it. Give him the money and let him do something else. Point blank. It's a waste to me. He directed this film, this powerful film. Okay, I know he has other stuff he wants to do. Give him the money and let him just create. Point blank, period.
Yeah. Well, speaking about him, obviously, when we look at the best picture, it was Judas and the Black Messiah. And Clayton, I just want to ask you, why do you think this one hit so well?
I mean, raise your hand if you saw the other Fred Hampton movie that we've been watching our entire lives. Like, there is no Fred Hampton story. I've waited for this Fred Hampton movie my entire life. you know.
So, but I would push back on you. I would push back though, Clayton, is to say that this is really not a Fred Hampton movie. We get the movie of the betrayer before we get the movie of the hero.
Which is and that's a valid argument. I think people can say that, you know, it is Bill O'Neill. It's in the same vein of the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. I get that, but there's been no film that even like dibbles in, you know, this is, if we start here, then okay, I'm ready for the Fred Hampton limited series that we're gonna do. But,
excellent. I just want to, because I want to see more on that side too, because he is more of a complex character than what we get. And Gil, I see you shaking your head, so I want to let you get in on this one.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And I know that you're a Chicago native, and so obviously you are very close to the story. So I would definitely defer to you on the film's, the way the story was told. But we were excited about it. It's the first all-Black production team to ever be nominated for Best Picture Academy Award. And next week AAFCA will be hosting a brunch with Ryan, Charles, and Shaka that all of our members will be invited to, virtual brunch. And so it's a wonderful moment. It's a wonderful moment. Daniel Kaluuya, Dominique Fishbach, Lakeith Stansfield, everyone involved were excellent. It was a great way, a great expression of Black excellence.
Excellent. We run a little over time, so I'm gonna try to get these other ones in real quick. Best ensemble is One Night in Miami. So on my list, Gil, it was tough. They didn't win on my list because they really did have some really stiff competition. I think this year they were there. So I'm not mad that they won, but they really had some stiff competition. I think this year. This was a year where when we look at ensembles, there was a lot of competition. Thoughts on that, Gil?
No, totally. And they were my favorite, but ultimately it really was you guys, and all four of you participated, all three of you. And so, I'm not even an active journalist anymore. So I probably have the least vote in the whole equation.
No problem. Kathia, so Best Director, Regina King, I hadn't seen One Night in Miami, and you had said to me long before, you said, Reggie, this is it. This is going to be it. Thoughts about her winning Best Director?
I'm not surprised. She is, anything she sets her mind to happens. You know what I mean? And also she's very well liked. Even more importantly, she's well respected. You know, her intentions are always honorable going into a project. And the other thing I love about Regina is she celebrates other women. She has no problem saying, I give you your flowers, like she did with Andra. And again, I think what's really also remarkable, a woman directed a feature film with all men, and she highlighted them beautifully. And I just wish sometimes when it was the other way around, they would do just as good of a job. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot for a woman to say, you know what, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm going to let the men shine. And she did that beautifully.
I think I want to say a point that Clayton talked about as he talked about Kim Powers, is that she was so respectful of his words. So he did his part, and then she did her part, and obviously the actors did their part. And we must have thought so as an organization, because just look at what we did from a voting perspective. So go ahead.
I just want to add real quick for Regina. One is that her One Night in Miami is the most diverse film of the year. And I mean that top to bottom. You go through every aspect through the technical categories. There's an underrepresented person, Asian, Latina, like every single aspect of the movie. And that's what we've been talking about when we're talking about diversity and representation, not just Black people. There's everybody that's a part of that. And Regina was on my podcast in December, and I want her to direct the James Baldwin biopic. I'm just saying, do it. She said she was open to it, and I think she should do it. I'm waiting for it.
Man, that is such a great insight. So thanks for that. So we have 4 acting categories. I'm just going to mention the names because I like, and you guys just jump in where I'll just talk about it. Everybody get a chance to do that. For Best Actor, we had Chadwick Boseman. For Best Actress, Andra Day. For Best Supporting Actor, Daniel Kaluuya. And then Best Supporting Actress, Dominique Fishbach. I'll give you the first word, Kathia. I'll let Gil go after that. And then we'll end up with Clayton.
Dominique Fishbach. I'm so glad that we acknowledged her. I think she's a beautiful actor. And I don't mean that aesthetically, you know, as far as it looks, I think in the way that she delivers the work. And I think this young lady has just scratched the surface. And I'm excited about her bringing her one-woman show to the screen. It's really astounding. It's nice to see someone, you know, start to rise. And per usual, we acknowledge that. And I'm really happy that she got her flowers. And well, it's no secret, I'm rooting for Andra for the Oscars. No secret about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Andra Day was Billie Holiday. And so I was absolutely thrilled that we recognized her. And my God, talk about an auspicious start. I mean, I'm really looking forward to what else she has coming next. I mean, just brilliant performance.
And so before you go, Clayton, I want to say about Andra Day is that I think it's ludicrous for when we talk about award season to say, okay, she can't win it because this is her first time. Let's see some more work from her, and then we'll give it to her for a less impressive performance sometime down the road. This was the performance, and I'm glad that we honored her. And I absolutely think, I know you're the awards person, but I absolutely think she should win the Oscar for that. Thoughts, Mr. Awards person?
Yeah, thanks for that intro. No, listen, 3 out of these 4 could be Oscar winners. I don't know if we've ever had that much translation from AAFCA to Oscar. I mean, listen, anything that's going to be more than 2 people of color winning, it's going to be a record at the Academy Awards. So Chadwick and Daniel already, I think, are locked and loaded. And I think, you know, Andra or Viola are going to do that. Dominique, I echo everything Kathia said about Dominique. I think she barely missed. I think she was right there. You know, and with Billie Holiday and Judas, these are both movies that got late starts in the season. Timing is always is a factor in this. So I'm glad they made it as far as they did, considering how the Academy has voted in past years. But you know, this is an impressive group, and let's see what happens on April 25th.
Well, our last thing to talk about is that we had our top 10 films, but our number 1 film was Judas and the Black Messiah. So we don't really have a lot to talk there about. What was slighted in this list for me was the 40-year-old version. Is that to not make it made my top 10, it made my top 5. So I was disappointed in my fellow critics that they didn't put my movie in there, but that was my only disappointment. Any thoughts, Kathia?
Yeah, it's definitely in my top 5. You know, that and Mr. and Teens was my number 1 movie of the year. Love that film. Love Channing, that whole team, Nicole, everybody attached to that. You know, especially as a mom, that movie really hit home for me. But I do think, again, the problem that we had this year is a good problem. We don't have it all the time, which means a lot of Black content. How do we get it down to 10? Normally we're like,
that's right.
Got a debate, you know, and then we got to be like, you know, you have to go to international, you have to go here, you have to go there, and you know, maybe we'll throw in a short film. But this year we actually had more than 10. We probably had a good 20 if you include like Farewell and More and some of this other stuff. So I think that was the good thing about the quarantine. My prayer though is, like Clayton said, please don't let it be a fluke. Let us continue to create things from all over the globe, you know, and you know, Steve McQueen's Small Axe could have made it in.
Oh, that right. Now I'm already mad about that. But you get the last word, Gil.
Okay, well, and 2 things.
Hold on, you don't get the last word. So we're gonna go to Clayton first, and you get the last word. Go ahead, Clayton.
Oh, I mean, I'm glad that Miss Juneteenth made the cut, because that is where, you know, we have to just watch as much as we can. You know, you have to make the time, you know, to if you really want to weigh in on the year of cinema, you have to watch as much of it as possible. And it's time consuming, and it's a lot, you know, and it's easy to say, like, how did this didn't make it, how that didn't make it, you know, but we all have to, like, you know, listen, I have blind spots in my life, you know, but I am hopeful for the future. I mean, I already took kind of a look at the year ahead, and while, you know, Latino films are going to be big this year, I'll be honest, I'm not super excited about where Black cinema looks like in 2021. There's not a depth like it was this year. So that's where I say, like, you know, we do one step forward, two steps back. You know, I want us all to be hitting on cylinders. I'm waiting for that big explosion to happen at the same time. But this is an honorable top 10, and you know, it's our voices. You know, you can't argue about it.
That's good. So Gil, you get the last word on this, and then I'll close out. But when you finish your comments, please again tell people where they can see the AAFCA Awards once you finish your comments.
Yeah, and just to continue from what Clayton said, what I really would love to see is that next year we're as celebratory, if it's a big Latinx year in cinema, that we have been in the same way that we're this year, because, you know, Black actors and Black films are doing so well. And the same the way it was last year when Bong Joon-ho, you know, just rocked every house in town, you know, during award season. So it's important that we see each other and that we support each other. The one thing that I'm proudest of about the AAFCA Awards show that people will be able to see on the AAFCA channel on Comcast Xfinity starting next Saturday, the 17th, through at 7 p.m. Eastern Time through Sunday, April 18th at 7 p.m. So for a 24-hour window, it will be available. But the thing I'm so proud of is that literally the show is is the very idea of diversity. We have Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, disabled, young, old, LGBTQ. It's all there. I literally took the lead. It was a one evening. I started it, and then my people came in and booked and everything. We reached out to about 30 people. By the morning, we had 8 slots left. I mean, so it was that easy to get a diverse lineup of presenters and the other people that you see populating the show. So for other shows to say that they can't do it, I'm sorry. We just did it, and we've pretty much always had a very diverse representation in our house. So yeah, couldn't be more happy.
Well, look, guys, that's our show. I'm Reggie Ponder, the Reel Critic. I want to make a couple of comments. One is that please, again, go watch the AAFCA Awards. Gil gave you the times. And also support the sponsors who support us. Is that support the people who support us. And you'll see that, see the sponsors for AAFCA, and that's for everything that we do. Please support them. It's very, very important. They can't support, they will not continue to support us if we don't support them. It's kind of like that symbiotic relationship. Again, this is where African-American film critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. We really did that this week. I want to thank Gil, I want to thank Clayton, and obviously I want to thank Kathia, and we'll see you next time.